Welcome to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright. This is the only place you will find real estate talked about on the radio on a nationwide level. This hour is sponsored by Reed Alman of Alman Law Firm. And Willie Lambright has several guests in the studio as well. Take it away, Willie.
No question. Here in the second hour, we are honored that you join us to empower you with knowledge to make wise decisions in real estate. During the break, the hour, in between hours, I was asked, why in the world did you get on the radio and start talking about real estate, Willie? And I'll tell you, 20 years in the mortgage business, I watched how people were defrauded. I'll use that. That's a big word, but they weren't always acting on you, my listeners' best interests. So I got on radio. And our job here at Real Estate Talk is to never talk at you, but to relate to you so that you can make wise decisions moving forward in your life. Remember this, you come into the world with nothing and you leave with nothing. And it's how you treat people in between. So for the rest of this hour, we're talking about, is there life after bankruptcy? The number one reason people do not file bankruptcy, I think I'm right about this, Reed, is embarrassment, man.
That's absolutely right. And, one of the major worries about people is bankruptcy going to ruin my credit? Am I ever going to be able to get credit again? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk to our guest, Stephen Palmieri, about, who's an expert on credit, is a lot of people think bankruptcy is the be-all, end-all of how your credit score is determined. Can you kind of break it down for the consumer and say, what other things do people look at in order to get your credit score?
Yeah, and so, the bankruptcy actually helps your credit under most circumstances because, as we said in the last segment, the negative items are no longer supposed to report as any rating whatsoever. So what people look at, on a lending perspective is, your character, your capacity, and your collateral. Do you have the ability to repay a loan? Well, we all know that the bankruptcy discharges the creditor's obligation or ability to collect. So you've got a better and a fresher, if fresher is even a word, you have a new...
It's in my world, it's
right.
a word.
You have a fresh ability to repay new debt because you don't have the ball and chain of the old debt weighing you down.
Mm-hmm. And with the old debt, we talked about the last segment as well, is that what is happening when you're late and when you have a charge off? How long do those things stay around?
Yeah, so an item of information that's accurate and complete, if it's negative, it can stay on your credit for 7 years from the time that it's written off as a loss on your credit report. And so, again, if you don't go through the bankruptcy, not only do you still have the factual relationship with your creditor that they can collect from you, but they're also still going to be reporting negatively every month moving forward. If you hit that legal reset switch through somebody like your law firm going through bankruptcy, they can no longer collect on the debt, and also they're no longer going to be allowed to report the item as negative. And so a huge misconception is people think, well, if I go through bankruptcy, it's going to ruin my credit. Well, there's a very, very minor percentage of people who go into bankruptcy without going delinquent, right? Maybe somebody who has a lot of debt and they can see the writing on the wall, they may qualify. But I'm sure your average client, they're probably delinquent and defaulting by the time they come to you.
That's right.
So their credit is already shot. So really the only thing additionally that the bankruptcy would add to their credit report would be a public record. And having a public record of a bankruptcy that's discharged is going to affect your credit significantly less than not having that, but having 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 negative items which are undischarged.
Choking your air off, huh?
Exactly.
That's what I call it.
Exactly.
If you're just joining us, my buddy, Mr. Steven, I'm going to give you this number. Write it down. Don't forget it. You'll be sorry if you do. 817-228-0491. Again, 817-228-0491. Good guy to get to know. It's not what you know in real estate. It's who you know in real estate.
Right.
Reed Alman allows you to do the start over button. There's three things people worry about. I'm going to add a fourth one to it. Embarrassment. All right. They want to know if they're ever going to live the dream of home ownership. They want to know if they're ever going to have decent credit again. And lastly, but not leastly, I don't know if that's a word either, Stephen.
In our vocabulary, it is.
Yeah, our vocabulary here on Real Estate Talk is less than desired, but they want to know if they can get a car. So you want to stick around in the rest of this hour. We're going to be telling you how to do that. I want to pick your brain some more, Stephen. And as always, I want to pick your brain, Mr. Reed Allman. You know it, friend. You're listening to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright, the absolute best and only nationally syndicated, and I say nationally syndicated, real estate talk show in the land. If you don't believe me, just ask my old coon dog working on that peat seed. You know what I mean. We'll be back in 3.
Get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Give me the beat, boys.
Thank you for listening to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright. We'll be right back after the break. But in the meantime, please visit willielambright.com. That's www.willie.lambright.com for more information about today's show, about the partners, how to contact people, all that kind of fun stuff. Welcome back to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright. We've got some guests in the studio today with sponsored by Reed Allman of Allman Law. We've got Justin Taylor and Ben Maxwell of New Start Auto. Willie Lambright, let's hear more about that.
Welcome back. Remember, this hour, you may not need to file bankruptcy. You may know a friend, you may know a family member, or a work colleague that's come on to hard times. Life's full of peaks and valleys. It happens. You come into the world with nothing, you leave with nothing. I, as the host of this program, fully endorse Mr. Reed Allman. He has a Give Us Stuff button on him about the well-being of you and your family as you march forward in 2013. I'll say it like my friend Ian Fitzsimmons says over on ESPN Radio. Calling doesn't cost you a dime. Not calling could cost you a bunch of aggravation and a headache. As you march into 2013, reach out to Reed Allman directly, 214-265-0123. Again, 214-265-0123. Tell him you heard it on Real Estate Talk over here with your old buddy Willie Lambright. You'll be glad you did. Reed, home. Am I going to have credit? And can I get a car? Well, good news is the cavalry has arrived. New Start Auto is live in my studio. My old buddy Justin Taylor, Ben Maxwell, these guys are from, I'm going to say it, the left coast. But they know what the hell they're doing when it comes to giving you a new start after bankruptcy. So welcome to the studio, Ben, Justin. How y'all doing today?
Good.
Yeah, you got to get up on that mic, friend.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's better. So, Reed, I'm going to let you lead this up. And don't go away, Stephen. I'm not done with you yet. You
bet.
know, LSU Tiger, you. Lead up to what happens and how that transition goes over and how these guys do their job.
Absolutely. You know, when you're dealing with a car, bankruptcy is a powerful tool. And there's some key features for a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 13. Mm-hmm. So once you get a car and you make a bad deal, or, you know, you're upside down because, you know, as soon as you drive off the lot, cars are not really assets. You know, they don't really appreciate, they depreciate. Mm-hmm. And so when you're rolling in negative equity after negative equity into a car, you can't really get out of that cycle. And, you know, if you just voluntarily give the car back to the car creditor, you're going to owe money because it's worth less now than what you paid for it. And so that deficiency balance is something that they will still sue you over. They'll report to your credit bureau, and you really can't get out of that. So if you're in a car where you can't make the payments, or it's not working, or you just want to hit the reset button on the car, you can do that two ways. You can do a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which will allow us to, in certain situations, cram down the car and just pay what the value is at a lower interest rate, and refinance it by spreading it out over like a 5-year payment plan.
All right, don't get mad at me on this,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
So when you talk about cram the car down, who determines that?
The bankruptcy code. And so if you've had the car more than 910 days,
All right.
then you're allowed to then pull the retail value of the car, and we average some different values, come up to see how much it's worth.
Okay.
Then we look and see what is the loan balance. So let's say, for example, you owe $15,000, but the car is worth $11,000.
Uh-huh.
So then that you're only going to have to pay $11,000. The other $4,000 will be discharged like your credit cards will be discharged.
Under a bankruptcy. And so if you don't get into bankruptcy and you just voluntarily let them repossess the car, that deficiency was going to follow you around, right?
Exactly.
So like in a short sale in real estate, if you don't do the short sale correctly, that deficiency will follow you around if you don't have the right people around you.
Right. So, if you get into the 13 and that kind of helps you, make the payments. Well, let's say you get, into month, 36, you're 3 years into the bankruptcy plan and the car breaks down. So then what do? Are you able to get a car while you're in a bankruptcy case? Mm-hmm. And I'll let these guys answer that.
Take it away. Who wants to go, Ben or Justin first? I mean, thank you guys for having normal names, okay? I'm not just picking on you, Stephen. But get up on that mic, Ben, real close to it, and tell me what happens when the baton is sent your way from Mr. Reed Allman.
It's actually extremely simple. And anyone that tries to tell you anything different, it's because they don't know the process. They don't take the time to learn. So basically, the process, as soon as they get a hold of us, we just get them in, we get their information, make sure they have a beating heart, make sure that they they have a job, get them in and get them pre-approved, get them out in the car. It's that simple. Anyone that tries to complicate it, anyone that tries to keep you in a dealership for 6 hours doesn't know what they're doing.
Right. So in the fact pattern we're talking about, in the 13, your car plays out, I would refer clients over to New Start Auto, and then they can find them a car, get the terms on it, and then we get permission from the court, and they're absolutely able to get cars while you're in bankruptcy.
Now, we're in the modern day era. I guess the bankruptcy laws back in 1800 means you can go get a new horse? Huh?
Probably.
Yeah, nonetheless. Keep on going here, guys.
So the flip side of
do you got to have a bankruptcy number or something before you go see New Start Auto?
Absolutely. And then, so we were talking about the Chapter 13 scenario. Let's say now that we're going to go into a Chapter 7, and you've lost your job, your income's less, but you still have that $700 car payment or the $800 car payment, and you just know it's not going to fit your budget, or the engine's failing or what have you. When you do a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you can surrender that car back to the creditor. You just give it back in its current condition, and you walk away from it debt-free. So now what are you going to do about a car? Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, people can get a car the day after they file bankruptcy. Chapter 7.
Now, all right, so I'm getting ready to come to break here. All right, so I'm the advocate for the listener or the people. All right, so I'm talking to Reed right now, and my buddy's over at New Start Auto, and so I filed a Chapter 7, and I gave the old beater back, and now I want to go get a new car. Am I going to pay through the gazoo in terms of interest rate? Am I going to have a 6-month loan? We'll talk all about that when we come back. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. You know it, friend. You're listening to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright, the absolute best, and I say best, nationally syndicated real estate talk show in the land. If you don't believe me, just ask those pretty, pretty, pretty girls on the pontoon boat. We'll be back in 3.
And we'll be right back after these messages. With Real Estate Talk, Willie Lambright. Go to willielambright.com. It's Willie with an IE, Lambright.com for all the information on today's show. And we will be back right after this. Stay tuned.
Said don't give me no lines and keep your hands to yourself.
And welcome back to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright, the only nationally syndicated real estate talk show that you're going to find here on a day-to-day basis. That's right, we're on every day talking about real estate. Back to the studio with Willie and his guests from New Start Auto and Reed Allman of Allman Law Firm.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us today, we're talking about life after bankruptcy. One of the misconceptions is when it comes to, an automobile, can I get a new car, Reed? And I'm here to tell you what you've done this 2 hours is the makings of a genius, because you're actually bringing in people that are making it happen for folks after bankruptcy. Abraham Lincoln filed bankruptcy. Name me some of the other famous people that did.
Henry Ford, Walt Disney.
Walt Disney. Okay, at the end of the day, bankruptcy is a strategy and is a tool to use to help and better your family. So, Justin, Ben, what happens when somebody comes to finance a car with you guys at New Start Auto?
So, once they file the Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there's really a couple factors that we look for and that the lenders look for. Ability, stability, and credibility. So, do they have the ability, to make a car payment? What's their income? Then you move on to stability, as far as like, how long have they been in their home? How long have they been at their current job? And then the third factor they look at is your credibility. What happened before this life-changing event? Will there be, the heart surgery or the divorce? What caused the bankruptcy? What happened before then? Those are the three main factors they look at. And we have lenders that can accommodate all the situation. If you're not very strong in the stability category, not a big deal. If you're not very strong on the income side of things, we have lenders that can help and assist in that. The other point I want to kind of get to too is down payment. Everyone's so worried and with your buy here pay here's, they all require down payment. The one cool thing about us in the program that we have is 60% of the cars on our lot we can do zero down. So
nice.
We understand, and our lenders understand that, obviously you're going through financial difficulty. You're probably not going to have any money down. That's the reason why you're seeking bankruptcy. Not only that, the attorneys obviously, charge fees to file bankruptcy. And, legally you're not supposed to have any money when you file. So taking all those three factors into account, I specifically go out and purchase vehicles that work for the program that you're not going to have to come with a lot of money out of your pocket. So you're probably thinking, oh, great, I'm going to get a car that has 3 wheels, right?
No.
No, the lenders.
We don't get a 69 model Volkswagen over there?
No. So, our majority of our loans fit into the category. It needs to be a 2006 and newer and under 75,000 miles. So the typical car, and the lenders, they prefer us to sell you a Honda, Toyota, Nissan, something like that. So the cars that we keep in stock, 2010 Toyota Camry, 34,000 miles, Honda Accord, 2009, 45,000 miles, those kind of vehicles. It's not like you're going to come in and get this, pile of crap that's going to put you right back in the same situation that's going to break down in 6 to 8 months. And where you got to go through the whole process again. So.
Yeah. Do y'all service those cars and everything prior to putting them on the lot? Oil change, all that good stuff. When I was in high school, I worked as a punch-out man at a Ford dealership, so I know all about washing cars. So I know where to go now that I know you, Justin, if I ever need a job.
If it doesn't work out for you, let us know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I can get on the wash rack, huh?
Yeah.
So proof's in the pudding there, guys. You guys come in and your ability to pay, your stability, and what was the last one? Credibility. So let me give you an example. Probably in the credibility department, if there was a heart attack in the family, you don't see that coming. I say it all the time. Life's full of peaks and valleys. All right. What bankruptcy and why we live in this country is bankruptcy is a tool to better and start over in your life. It is not to be, you're not to be ashamed about that, but, have a strategy going into it so that you can change your behavioral habits on down the line. Did I say that right, Reed?
No, absolutely. And, when you're talking about, this qualifications, I've sent quite a few referrals over to New Start Auto, and I think probably 99% of everyone I send over qualifies. So the threshold is not really that hard to pass. I mean, you're going to need to have obviously you have some money in your pocket. So, you have about $1,200 gross a month, and they could even do it for people who have less. It's an individual situation. And the thing that I really like about them, which I don't think a lot of people understand, is these tote the note places. They finance the cars themselves. So they'll ask for a big down payment. They'll put you on a bi-weekly, payment with high interest rate. And the second you default, they're going to take it back. Mm-hmm. And what I like, about New Start Auto is they work with national financing companies, professional financing companies that specifically, work with people in this exact situation and reward them. So if they make their payments on time, correct me if I'm wrong, like every 6 months, their interest rate can go down by 0.5 point.
Yeah, we have a specific lender, which is who we do a majority of our business with, that offers what Reed's talking about is a rate reduction program. So as long as these customers make their payments on time, keep full coverage insurance, they'll lower your interest rate 0.5 percentage point every 3 months. So 2 points a year.
Nice.
Yeah, and all you have to do is make your payments on time.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I don't know if you remember Kimberly who called in a couple weeks ago. She right after bankruptcy, she got in a new car. And then a year after she'd been making her payments on time, she refinanced it. So then she went down to like 3.9% interest. So you can get into something, the important thing is get in something, make those payments on time, and then you can always roll it in later.
Here's what I want to ask you guys. I got getting ready to come to break. Justin, Ben, my listener probably is wondering what the start rate is. Can we talk about that when we come back? What they usually are?
Definitely.
We don't have to just be nail on the head there, but we'll get an idea. You want to stick around for this because there is a life after bankruptcy. You know it, friend. You're listening to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright, the absolute best and only nationally syndicated real estate talk show in the land. If you don't believe me, just ask those cows. They're outstanding in their field. We'll be back in 3.
I feel no shame. I'm proud of
Thank you for being on a listener here at Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright. Willie's just throwing us off our game in here. He always comes up with the craziest sayings, messes them all up too. That also can be found in the Willieisms section of WillieLambright.com. That's Willie with an IE, Lambright.com. All the information about today's show and past shows is out there on the internet. Also, find pictures of behind the scenes here at Real Estate Talk at Facebook.com/Willie Lambright. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright. It's the only nationally syndicated real estate talk show you're going to find out there. If you find another one, let me know. Go to WillieLambright.com and click on the Contact Us button. But in the meantime, listen to this great content Willie's bringing you live nationwide.
That's right, Mikey. I'll tell you what, we are delighted and honored that you join us up here. And one of these days, I'm getting blind. I'm getting so old right now. So I know that in my studio, I got a couple of car guys and a credit repair guy and a bankruptcy guy. I know that. But I also know that we brought you good content today. And when you talk about New Start Auto, so y'all didn't even pick up on that. I said, I got a couple of car guys, credit guy, and a bankruptcy guy in here. Y'all just looked at me, all right? That was a funny. You're supposed to laugh, okay? There you go. Better. New Start Auto is live in the studio. You get a do-over button when you file bankruptcy. Not only does Reed help you through the court of law, but he also gives you the support staff around to carry on with your life. When it comes to four wheels on the ground, New Start Auto gets you modern cars. It's not a 69 model Volkswagen. By the way, I owned one time. I laid under it more than I drove it. But they have programs for, I don't know if you caught this, Reed, but 60% of all of his cars have, did you say 0% down?
Yeah, 0 down payment.
0 down payment, right? Well, what happens when you come out of bankruptcy, man? You're trying to get your feet back up underneath you, right? Reed can help you in everything. Got to have a job. Got to have credibility, stability. I like all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what's my start rate when I come see you? I got a job. I make $2,000 a month, all right? I had a heart attack, and I lived through it. I'm like Cy Robertson on Duck Dynasty. I lived through a heart attack. Okay, so what's my start rate?
The 13.99 is the best rate that we can get out there.
Okay,
from lenders. Now, I'm not saying everyone's going to qualify for that because again, they take into account the factors I talked about: the ability, stability, credibility, and that's how they kind of determine the interest rate. That you qualify for. The great thing is if we sell you the Honda or the Toyota, that car that you think you can't buy. They give us better interest rates on those cars. So,
really?
Yeah.
Really? And so you make your payment on time every 3 months, it drops 2 points.
Yes.
As long as you make your payment once a month.
As long as you got to make your payment once a month. Now, Ben, is there a floor on that?
No.
Can it go down to 2, 3, 1%?
No, there is a floor. I'm not sure what it is. I want to say it's 12%. But the average customer, they come in, they get the 16, 17% interest rate. Here's the thing. You don't want to stay in this car longer than 18 months to 2 years anyways. Mm-hmm. Why do that? When Reed talked earlier about Kimberly, who had come in, was able to refinance. Again, this is just a tool to help you reestablish your credit while giving you reliable transportation, and to move on with your life. We hope we never have to see you again is kind of our motto. But that's all we do is the bankruptcy financing. So, we get in, we get you with a great car, and then, 18 months to 24 months later, go refinance it, trade it in, and move on with your life.
Well, I'll tell you, we don't give their number out directly, but if you want to get in touch with them, you can reach out to Reed Allman, 214-265-0123. Again, 214-265-0123. I see my brother from another mother, Reed Allman, over here chomping at the bit to say some more. Go ahead.
Well, when you're in bankruptcy, it's really the only thing out there that allows you to literally do whatever you want to accomplish financially. So, I mean, that's one thing I ask my clients when they come in, what do you want to do, with your finances? Do you like this car? Do you want to get a new car? Do you like your house? Are you behind? You want to catch up? Whatever it is they want to accomplish financially, they're able to restructure everything through bankruptcy. And so that takes into account like a job loss, reduction in income, and that's real powerful. And so I want a lot of people to take advantage of that, because if you did go to the Tote the Note place and you got like a 1982 Mercedes-Benz or something like that you're paying incredible, a payment on, you can restructure things, get rid of your debt, get back a car, get a new car. And so that's something you want to take into account. And like Justin was saying, is that you have to really look at what is your long-term goals. And if you get into one of these new cars where you've got like a Volvo or a Honda or something like that that's going to hold its value, that's the most important part, because when you trade it in and refinance it, you're going to do it. You're going to do well on it. And I wanted to ask Stephen, because Stephen's still here, what are the 5 things that consumers don't know about their credit?
Yeah, and we touched on some of them earlier, but I'd say the top 5 things, number one is a credit report is just a story, as we had said earlier. Now, it's a story that's made up of data, but again, they're just telling stories about you. Number 2, I would say, to tie into what I just said, it is only data. Okay, a lot of people overlook the fact that when they look at their credit report and things are clearly illogical, monthly payments are missing, things like that. Their brains are not tuned in to be able to see that that's wrong, but it really is. And technically speaking and factually, that's something that's not proper. The third thing I would say is that your credit file itself that the 3 credit bureaus maintain does not itself contain a score. What happens is when your credit is pulled, there's algorithms that run through the data when you get the credit report prepared. And at that instant, the algorithm takes all the data and it creates a score. So again, tying into the previous thing, it is just data, and that data can directly affect and does directly affect the score. Number 4, to tie into what we said in one of the previous segments, there is an absolute separation between the creditor-debtor relationship and these stories. Okay, so a lot of people think, well, I owe XYZ lender money. Well, that's great. That's between you and XYZ lender. But as soon as they want to go out and start to tell stories and the bureaus want to redistribute these stories, that's more of a defamation type relationship. And so it's a completely separate fundamental conversation, credit versus debt. And then the final thing, which I think is important for consumers to understand, tying everything in, is that you do have the right to dispute information that's inaccurate and incomplete. And so what is inaccurate and incomplete? It's up to how you interpret the data. And so if you know the system and the industry, pretty much you can create disputes on the legitimacy of all the stories that they're creating.
Sure.
One of the things I really want to get across and ask these guys, because I always get these questions. So I want to ask you, Ben or Justin, can you get a car after you file bankruptcy?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Stephen, is it really true that most likely in most situations when somebody comes out of bankruptcy that their credit score will most likely increase?
It is, yes.
Okay. So everybody out there has the opposite conception about that. So that's why I want to bring these guys in there who real life deal with these people at all the same time in the juncture in their life. So what advice would you give somebody?
Well, I would say that, if you had the opportunity to go into a Chapter 7 or even a Chapter 13 with somebody like Reed Allman and his firm, absolutely, that's one of the best tools that anybody could take advantage of. It's a legal tool, and it's there for your help.
Well, you forgot to ask me a question, so I'm going to ask myself, is Reed Allman the best bankruptcy attorney in the land? I'm your host, Yes, he is. Reach out to him directly, 214-265-0123. Again, 214-265-0123. You know it, friend. I got to go to break. You're listening to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright, the absolute best and only nationally syndicated real estate talk show in the land. If you don't believe me, just ask that old boy at LSU that stole my chicken. We'll be back in 3.
You let somebody else get it. One time, I got stung by 27 bumblebees. Bumblebees? Bumblebees.
And welcome back to Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright. You know, the price of gas is going up, the price of a pound of beef is going up, but the information here is still free. Here's Willie in the studio with Reed Allman.
All right, I got to ask you guys a real quick question. Since we got a round table of geniuses in here, what's heavier, a ton of bricks or a ton of feathers? Uh-oh.
Neither
Ben,
same.
Ben went cross-eyed.
A ton of ego.
Take it away, Justin. Okay, go talk to me about what this great information you want to give out.
Well, there's 2 points I kind of want to make real quick. Number one is, we fully endorse Reed, and part of the reason why is, all we do is bankruptcy financing. 40 to 50 deals a month of people who go through bankruptcy, and we field phone calls from customers all the time that my attorney says I got to wait till I discharge, or my attorney says and really they haven't done the legwork like Reed has to go and find out, the options that are out there for customers. And so that's one of the reasons why we fully endorse Reed is he's going to, he has someone on here, talking real estate, showing you how to help buy a home. He's got a credit repair guy here, all for you, the consumer. Bankruptcy prices, they're pretty competitive. They're all the same price. This is, something, that he's offering extra. So
yeah, it sets him apart.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
The next point I wanted to make was when we talked earlier about interest rate. One of the myths or one of the issues that we face out there all the time is that someone will go to a buy here, pay here, and they'll say, well, they're going to give me 12% interest, and our lender is offering 16% interest. And I try and explain to them, it says, well, the overall cost of ownership is a lot higher because they're taking that $12,000 car and charging you $20,000 for it. So really you're paying more for it in the end anyways. At least with when you're a higher interest rate after a year and a half, you can refinance anyways and get rid of it. Once you sign the note on that car and you sign it for $20,000, whether it's 12%, when you go to try and refinance it, most lenders aren't going to even touch it because you're going to be so far upside down in the vehicle.
And then you got to wait it out then. You just got to keep making payments.
And the true benefit here is, when you have a third party involved, not like a buy here, pay here, where they make basically all the decisions. Having that lender there is kind of like a checks and balance systems. They're there to help protect the consumer, from us. We understand that, we're only gonna have a relationship with this customer or this client for really about, a month while we help get their financing range, get them in the vehicle and get the loan funded. But the bank is going to have a relationship with that customer for the next 5 years. So they're going to put certain restrictions on us as far as what we can sell the cost, the price of the car, can only be a certain percent above wholesale value. They give us better terms if we include a warranty, and then also better terms if it's a good car. The lower the miles, the longer the term. They put all these things in place to kind of help protect the customer.
The nice situation that you're in when you're in bankruptcy is the bank's protecting themselves, which means they're protecting you. So basically, and you don't need to know all this information we're talking about today because we've done the legwork. We do it on a daily basis. So all you have to do is show up. You put a square peg in a square hole, and you're protected.
I like that. Wait a minute. Did Ben just say square peg in a square hole?
my whole life, I tried putting a round peg in a square hole.
Well, me and you too. Both of us have tried to do that. Nonetheless, Reed, a couple things you want to pull out of Stephen before we come to the top of the hour.
Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, that's great.
Get close to that mic, brother.
That's great talking about the square peg in the square hole, because it really comes down to people just understanding what it is that they're up against and how they've gotten to this point. A lot of people, they'll attach themselves onto these debts, and then the life event happens, like you said, and they just can't pay their bills. And so, our company fully endorses Reed as well because he really understands the system, but not just the bankruptcy part of it, but all the facets that the consumer needs to get themselves restarted. And it is a myth that if you file bankruptcy, it's gonna destroy your credit more than not filing bankruptcy. Because as we talked about earlier, most people, by the time that they realize they need to educate themselves on the bankruptcy tool, they're already delinquent, and so you're not really creditworthy. And so, it is definitely not true that filing a bankruptcy is going to prohibit you from being able to improve your credit and from getting the financing that you need.
Yeah. Reed, any parting thoughts?
Well, I'm feeling very proud of myself right now hearing all this wonderful praise, but I really do appreciate it. And, the reason why I'm coming to this point is I want to really help the consumer who comes in not only get a fresh start, but get a head start on what's going to happen after bankruptcy and make sure that they're able to accomplish what their goals are. Because, the number one most powerful thing for me is a happy client. The majority of my business comes from referrals, and I want to make sure that I keep that coming.
I, as the host of this show, want to thank you, Reed Allman, for aligning with us. At the end of the day, I know, having gotten to understand your business and the way you operate, you truly have a give us stuff button on you about the well-being of people. Proof's in the pudding today. So as I come to the top of the hour, Justin, Ben, will you come back as a repeat offender?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Stephen?
Absolutely.
All right, I got to have crawfish next time,
You betcha.
Reach out to Reed Allman, 214-265-0123. Again, 214-265-0123. And tell him you heard it here on Real Estate Talk, and I'll bet you he'll buy you a cup of coffee. So I'm going to close the show out by saying a couple of three things. Remember, a goal without a plan is simply a wish. Don't wish to have a better life. If life's got you in a valley right now, put a strategy together. Go see Reed. Let's march into 2013 and really have a jam-up year. You can reach him again, 214-265-0123. Secondly, if you can see the invisible, you can accomplish the impossible and wherever you're at in life. I promise you that. And last but not least, remember this one. Dreams don't work unless you do. Think about that. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Thanks for joining us today on Real Estate Talk with Willie Lambright. We sure do appreciate you listening. Hey, if you haven't checked it out already, go out to our website, willielambright.com. That's Willie with an IE, Lambright.com. There you can find all of our previous shows, find out more information about the people who have been on the show, contact information, and all the folks that we recommend. That's willielambright.com, or find us on Facebook and find some pictures, facebook.com/Willie Lambright. We'll see you next hour or next time. Thanks for joining us.
But as far as I can see, I got